guys, welcome back to another What's for Dinner video. This one is going to be a little bit different. As you probably know, I posted my normal What's for Dinner video on Friday. So today I'm bringing you my What's for Dinner family favorites. So I actually went back to a lot of my older What's for Dinner videos and I picked out all of our family favorites and I'm bringing them to you all in one video, one spot, so you can make them for your family. These are all super budget friendly, all very family friendly, obviously, since they're my family's favorites. My toddler likes all of these, so I know your family will love them too. If you're new to my channel, I would love to have you, so consider hitting that little red subscribe button. But let's go ahead and get into all of these super family friendly and delicious meals. So to start off, I'm going to be making my favorite meatballs. It's porcupine meatballs with a mushroom gravy. So you're just gonna need a pound of lean ground beef. I'm just kind of chopping that up. And then I'm going to be adding in 1 egg. You'll also be adding in half a cup of rice and 3 tablespoons of flour. For seasonings, I am just doing a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. And then you'll also need some Ritz crackers. I am just using the generic brand whole wheat ones. Smash those up with something heavy and throw them into your bowl as well. The last thing that you need for this is just a 1/4 cup of milk, and then you're going to mix it all together. I know most people just use their hands for this, but I hate touching ground beef. I just it has a horrible texture, so I avoid touching it as much as I can. I am just spraying my baking dish with a little bit of nonstick spray, and then I'm actually taking a cookie dough scooper. This works so good. If you have never tried it, I would highly recommend. You don't have to touch the meat, and it keeps them all the same size, so I really like doing it that way. And then after they're all scooped out, I actually go in and kind of roll the balls out to make sure they're smooth and that they're all going to stick together. And now for the gravy that is going on top of the meatballs, I'm just taking a cup of milk and mixing in a can of cream of mushroom. You could definitely add some seasonings to this if you want. It really doesn't need it. Another thing that I've added before is just a little bit of beef bouillon, and that tastes really good as well, but I was just keeping it super simple on this day. And then you're just going to pour your gravy right over your meatballs. They don't have to be fully submerged or anything, but if there's any spots that are open on top, I will just flip them over so there's gravy on that side as well. Cover it with just a little bit of aluminum foil and then pop that into a 350-degree oven for about 1 hour. I almost always serve these meatballs with mashed potatoes, but my kids are being crazy and I did not want to peel potatoes and deal with boiling them and mashing them, so I took the easy way out and I just did some egg noodles. And then for a really quick and easy side, I just did some baby carrots in my little Pampered Chef steamer that goes in the microwave. I think I steamed them for about 5 minutes if I remember correctly, and then I just put a little bit of butter on top with some pepper, salt, and a little bit of garlic powder. Next up, I am going to be making an Italian pasta salad. This is filled with so many veggies and this is my husband's favorite. So I am just taking 2 boxes of rotini noodles and starting to boil those. You can definitely have this recipe and just use 1 box if you would like, but I like to make a big batch to have on hand in the fridge. For veggies, I am using 2 peppers. I did an orange pepper and a yellow pepper, and then I'm also going to be cutting up a cucumber. I do like to chop my veggies pretty small just because I want them really nice and bite-sized to blend into the pasta salad. For the cucumbers, I am only using 1 today, but I actually would normally add about a cucumber and a half. You can do what you like, but I would recommend taking the seeds out from the center, so I just kind of cut them out. They can make your salad almost waterlogged if you leave them in and it's sitting in your fridge for a couple of days, and then just chop those up like the rest of the veggies and set them aside. And for the cheese in this pasta salad, I am just using a block of cheese. You could use shredded, but we really prefer the block. Plus, if you store it in your fridge for a couple of days, shredded cheese can kind of get like a gummy texture to it. I am using mozzarella, but my husband's personal favorite would be Colby Jack, but I'm not a big fan of Colby Jack, so I will usually use mozzarella. And then I'm also chopping up some pepperoni. I used a full package for this one just because I did use 2 boxes of noodles. You could also buy like the stick of pepperoni and then chop it up that way, but this is just what I had on hand. Drain off all of your noodles and then rinse them with cold water so they don't get all stuck together. And then you're just going to be adding them into a bowl. You see me adding everything into 2 different bowls, and that's just because I did not have a big enough bowl to fit everything. But make it easy on yourself and just do it in 1 bowl if you can, and then you're just going to dump all the rest of your ingredients in. For this dressing, it could not be any more simple. I am just using the Italian zesty dressing from the store, and then I'm also adding a little bit of salt and pepper. I don't have exact measurements, you just gotta do it to taste and see what you like. And that is it for this simple pasta salad. Like I said, this is my husband's favorite and it keeps really well in the fridge for a couple of days if you want to use it for lunches. All you need is some meatballs. I like to use the Italian style ones, and then your favorite marinara sauce. Just take about half of this bag and throw it in the crock pot. And then you're also gonna need some sub buns. I like to get the fresh baked ones from Walmart, along with some mozzarella cheese to top after they're done. You're just gonna throw these into your crock pot. I usually do about half a bag with 1 jar of sauce. So now our meatballs are done. All we have to do is pop them right into the subs and top them with some mozzarella cheese. And then just throw these into the oven until they're just basically toasted on top and the cheese is all melted. And then for the side, I'm just gonna throw one of these packets of green beans into the microwave, and then I'll show you how I season it. So I just steamed the green beans in the microwave. I'm just gonna throw on half a packet of Italian seasoning and dressing mix with a little bit of butter, mix it up in a bowl, and that is our side. This next recipe is going to be pizza burgers. It's super kid friendly and it's one that my mom used to make for us when I was younger. So all you're gonna need is a pound of ground beef, which I have thawing out. You're gonna need some shredded cheese to go on top, some hamburger buns, and then you can either use pizza sauce or you can use tomato sauce and make your own, which is what I'm doing. So I just have 2 cans of tomato sauce and then garlic powder, oregano, onion powder, and Italian seasoning, a little bit of sugar to make it a little bit sweeter. And then mushrooms are optional. My husband doesn't like them, but I'm going to be using these. And then a little bit of salt and pepper for your sauce. Beef is completely done. I've got my oven preheating to 375. I'm gonna go ahead and just dump in the tomato sauce. I'm gonna start off with 1 can and then I'll add probably part of this rest of the other one, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of onion, garlic, and all of the seasonings that I mentioned before. The tomato sauce, and then I'm just gonna dump my mushrooms right in. You could also add these right on top of the mixture when we're done, on top of the actual buns. You'll see what I mean here in a minute, but I usually just add it right into the mixture. So just let this all heat up, and then we're just gonna go ahead and get our buns all ready. So then just go ahead and spray a baking sheet, and you're just gonna lay out all of your buns. I forgot to mention this, but I did pop these in the oven for just a couple of minutes until they're just like a little bit toasty to touch. And then all you have to do is stick on your meat mixture right on top. And then you're just gonna top all of these with your favorite cheese. I'm using Fiesta Blend. It doesn't matter what you use. And then you're gonna stick them in the oven for like about 10 minutes until they're nice and toasty and the cheese is all melted. And then for my side, I'm just cutting up a little bit of this zucchini, and I'm gonna throw it into a pan with a little bit of butter, olive oil, salt, and pepper, fry that up for a few minutes, and that will be our side. This sweet as honey chicken recipe is actually an old HelloFresh recipe that I got from my sister. It is so good and perfect for date night. Here you just see me cutting up a lime, and I also did cut up some ginger, which I totally accidentally deleted that footage, but you're gonna need a couple heaping tablespoons of ginger. You just wanna peel it and mince it all up. So to start off, you're just gonna be boiling some water for the rice. For today's rice, I am just using some jasmine rice, but you just want to get the water boiling so that will be ready when you're ready for the chicken. I am going to be pan frying this chicken, so I'm just starting off by adding a little bit of oil into a pan and letting that heat up a little bit, and then I'm just adding in the chicken breasts. So this is actually 2 chicken breasts, but I did cut them in half lengthwise so that they would be nice and thin. I definitely would recommend doing this since you don't want the chicken to be too thick or it's going to have a hard time cooking through in the pan. And then you're just going to add a little bit of pepper, salt, and garlic powder on top. I would say that I pan fried this chicken for probably around 5 to 7 minutes on each side, but it is going to depend on the thickness of your chicken. Obviously, just make sure that it's cooked all the way through. And then once you flip it, add a little bit more salt and pepper to the other side. While the chicken's cooking, I mixed up my sauce, so I'm just adding a teaspoon of chicken bouillon, and then you'll need 4 tablespoons of honey. This adds a lot of really delicious sweetness and flavor to the sauce. And then you're also going to need 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I always use the Kikkoman brand. And then you will need 2 tablespoons of water as well. And then you're just going to mix it up and set this aside for a little bit later on. And then once your chicken is all done cooking, you're just going to remove it and set it onto a plate or something. Try and cover it with a lid just to keep it a little bit warm. And then into your pan, you're going to be adding a little bit of olive oil along with some minced garlic. And then you'll be also adding those couple tablespoons of ginger that I cut earlier. You're going to mix that all up and saute it for a good minute or so. And then you'll be adding in 3 heaping tablespoons of white wine vinegar. You're basically just going to cook this until all of that white wine vinegar is pretty much cooked all the way off. You'll basically just be left with the ginger and the garlic in the pan. Now this is where you'll be adding in the sauce that we mixed up earlier. It's the soy sauce and the honey and the water. Just let that kind of come to a simmer. And then I did just add just a little bit more soy sauce because I like it that way. But you'll just let this heat up and then we'll be adding the chicken back in. You're going to want to make sure that this chicken gets flipped over a couple times just to make sure that the glaze gets on both sides. This is seriously so good and such a flavorful chicken. I would highly recommend this recipe. For a side, I am just doing this steamer packet of fine green beans. You guys know I love these. They're just way too easy. And then to season the green beans, I am just using a little bit of butter. I would say I used probably a teaspoon, heaping teaspoon. And then I just took a couple of wedges of the lime, squeezed that on top with a little bit of salt and pepper. And then to plate this up, you're just going to be serving it over the rice. So go ahead and put your rice on the bottom, chicken on top with a little bit of that sauce, and then the green beans on the side. This was definitely my favorite for the week. So if you want to try one of these recipes, make it be this one. It is seriously delicious. So for the next night, I was actually using up leftovers to make this sweet as honey stir fry. Totally made this up. It's not an actual recipe, but I just took the leftovers from that sweet as honey chicken and turned it into a stir fry. So I am just chopping up the veggies that we happen to have on hand. So I am using a orange bell pepper, and then I'm also using some broccoli, but you can really use whatever vegetables that you like. And then I had all of this leftover chicken from the night before. This ended up being just one chicken breast, but it's cut in half like you saw in the recipe before. But I am just cutting this up into smaller pieces to put into the stir fry. And then to go with the stir fry, I obviously needed to make some rice. So I am just cooking up some jasmine rice and following the directions on the back of that. And then while your rice is cooking, you're just going to stir fry up your vegetables. So I just heated up a little bit of oil and then put it on medium heat. And I did season them with a little bit of salt, pepper, and garlic powder. If you guys have been watching me a while, you know I love my garlic powder. But you're just going to go ahead and stir fry these for probably about 5 minutes, I would say I do, just until they're a little bit softer. I do not like my veggies overcooked. You can definitely cook them longer if you like, but it is whatever you prefer. I did add in some extra olive oil before adding in my chicken. I just felt like the vegetables needed that little bit of extra in the pan. And then I just went ahead and added that chicken that I had cut up already. You do want to add the sauce that was left over that we made the night before. This is so good. This dish reminds me of what you would get at a Chinese restaurant. It has that same flavor. And if you're trying to go low carb, you could totally eat it just like this and skip the rice, and it would be just as delicious. I did decide to add in those leftover green beans from the night before just to get them used up, and I felt like it really complemented this stir fry really, really well. But you're just going to make sure that this all gets heated through, that your vegetables are cooked enough, and that your chicken is all the way heated up. I am just adding this stir fry mixture right over the rice with just a little drizzle of soy sauce, and it was absolutely perfect. Well, that wraps up this What's for Dinner video. I hope that you enjoyed it and that this gave you some meal ideas and inspiration for your week. Go ahead and leave me a comment down below and let me know what is on your meal plan, what you are eating this week. And if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.